Welcome
Back.
to the TAE Time Podcast.
Hello.
Coming to you from it's funny enough that this is very on topic for today's topic. We are recording this during our lunch break while we're working from home. And today's topic is
Working from home.
Can you imagine? So, yeah, if I sound a little bit raspy, don't mind me. I'm coming down with something. That's why this mug is here, actually, because I'm drinking Lemsip, because I am trying to feel better before we go on our well-deserved break.
Well, I mean, you got sick because of your little vacay that you felt the need to
I felt
have?
sick because my friend was sick like a dummy.
Yeah, well, if you didn't feel the need to go on a little trip, your little
I
bachelor trip.
And I went to visit my friend who moved to Zurich recently. So
yeah, we talked about that.
We talked about that in
our last. Well,
actually, we don't even know which episode.
No.
Actually, we don't know because this episode is literally going to be like 3 weeks.
3 weeks after
this one. So yeah, this is.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
You already know the story.
Anyways, today I thought that we could talk about work from home. We've vaguely mentioned it in previous podcasts,
like here and there,
but we never had like a whole episode on working from home. And like you said, it's our lunch break now. You know, we have a whole hour. Well, whatever. This will be done less than an hour. And I thought that we could, start talking about it. So obviously you had the office experience.
Yeah, you've never worked in an office.
I've never worked in an office.
That's such a true Gen Z thing to only have come out of college and never worked in an office. Well, not really anymore because a lot of companies are now doing hybrid.
Yeah.
But very few companies do fully remote.
Yeah.
And the ones who do, it's usually only a special subset of people now who get fully remote. I being one of them because I'm a software engineer.
You're special. But I feel like this is true, right? But the thing is, if you're going into like software engineering or like these positions that are critical to a company, they will do anything to accommodate you. They will give you anything just,
be slurping away.
Exactly.
But funny enough, software, not anyone can do that actually anymore. Even in the software engineering field, because right now, especially people who are coming into the field, they are not getting that whole work from home experience. They're all getting hybrid. Like a lot of my friends in like the previous company I used to work for are all hybrid right now. Only just lucky ones who got to keep the work from home contract got to keep it. And like especially new hires, they're not getting the chance really to work from home. It's only really when you've been in the industry for a while and then you have that competitive edge that you can then start looking for specific work from home jobs.
Okay.
You got remote jobs, because then that you're like, yeah, I'm not going to take it unless it's a remote offer. And then they're like, and then you're like, yeah. So definitely, it isn't as easy anymore. Companies have really pushed back on this work, and that's something we'll talk on. But companies have really pushed back on the work from home thing. They are not happy with it. A lot of companies who were like remote, for ages. Like as I said, my previous company is very remote forward, and now they're like everyone has to come in 50% of the time.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that your company is doing that as well.
Like the company I'm in currently does do fully remote across the board for engineers, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. But the previous company I was in, they were remote, and now they're like no, 50%. You have to come in 50%.
Wow,
they start
that's
really
interesting.
demanding. So like one of my friends who is there luckily got his remote contract, because he was like senior enough and he was in a good bargaining position to get that. But he had to go all the way up the chain to get approved and stuff like that. And then he got it, but everyone else, 50% of the time.
Interesting. But like you said, your friend or whatever, it is easier to build a case when you're a software engineer, like I said.
Yeah.
Like you guys you run the company.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be there without you. So it
waving
makes,
our around.
It makes sense or whatever. But I just wanted to talk a little bit at the start about like our own experience kind of thing. And like, some of the advantages of working from home.
Oh, so many. Like I am so just to preface this, it's so funny. Like obviously COVID was sucked and all that, the C word. I don't know if we have to say C word or so. You can say it anyway. It sucked. Everyone knows it sucked. But before it happened, funny enough, literally about, I think a few weeks before, maybe a week or two, and a close friend of mine will remember the story, is we were at work in the office talking about like whatever during lunches you do. And then I said to the guys, would you take like $1 million if you had to be isolated for a year indoors, no human interaction. You have to stay inside. You have to, you do everything inside. You just can't interact with other people outside the house. And then they're like, oh, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know mentally or whatever. I'm like, I am very able to do that. I am very able to do that. You know, I'll take the money easy, stay in, locked in, no human interaction. Except like you just now face to face. You can do everything online. You know, play games, talk to people through everything. So this is before the lockdown happened that we had this, and then literally like a few weeks later, lockdown happens. And then, you know,
caused it.
Everyone knows how it worked.
You caused the panorama.
Everyone knows how that worked. But I thrived perfectly fine, you know, because I know myself. Like I'm very, and this answers the question, is I enjoy working from home. I like there. I have no problem. I don't feel the need, like we'll touch on pros of obviously being in the office later, but like I really enjoy the pros of being working from home. Like I'm able to multitask. Like every human is able to multitask. Like there's some times where I'm doing something, where I'm testing something, and there's nothing else I need to do. Like I'd rather be able to like do something like this, or maybe go make some food at home, or do whatever. Like I can get a lot of things done, because if you're going to the office, you're literally stuck in the office for X amount of hours of your day that you can't do other things for, and then you have to get everything else in the remaining few hours. Whereas when you're working from home, you can do your job and whatever else you need to get done as you need.
That's a huge thing, right? Like flexibility and the time. So I've never worked in an office, but like, you know, I have had other jobs that require you, you know, to get ready and walk or drive, whatever, to work. And then, you know, you're at work for X amount of time and then you have to come back. So it really eats up your time. But I do feel like the whole point in life should be like work-life balance. And if like a company is really trying to push that, I think remote working or even half or hybrid or whatever is a really good way of doing it, right? Because I get to do my life and also work, right? So I'm kind of balancing things. Like before work, I have the time to go to the gym and, you know, shower and like, you know, clean up a little bit around the house or whatever it is I want to do. I have the time to do that. In my breaks, I have the time to make food at home, and you know that's also saving money as well because I'm not eating out.
Nicoletta did not have to feel it's even forget about, like, you never have to feel the lunch struggle, especially like for someone like me, right? I do not like eating out because I don't like wasting money, right? I do not like, and people who work, lots of people, I'm part of the minority, lots of people at work pay for their meals, right? I know people who are working from home and they order food still, right? But either way, I did not like eating out. I like bringing my own lunches. But because I'm at work, I can only bring this lunchbox. I'd always fill the lunchbox with like rice, stew, and meat, whatever, you know, and I'd go eat up in the cafeteria. But then a lot of other people would be like, well, whatever. But when I'm at home, I can make myself, I have my food made, I have my plates, I can make myself a big ass meal, I can enjoy my food.
But then was there like a sort of pressure if the guys that you were in a team with were like, oh, let's go to lunch together?
Definitely. That's one thing as well. Like when you want to socialize during lunch, like unless, like if they're going to a restaurant, they're eating there. But some people will like maybe like take, for example, a bouchon, like they'll get a bouchon to come back to the office and they'll eat it there. So you can just come up when they're there and eat it with them and chat, which is very nice. But like definitely sometimes I feel like when you're in the office, you feel more inclined to go buy lunch, you know? And I am like, oh, I hated it. But, you know, and so
but also like, if not just money, but like if you are, you know, trying to eat better or like, you know, going to the gym, focusing a little bit on your health, and you're now like eating out all the time.
Yeah, shout out, like there was a time when I was cutting and there was this girl, my coworker.
Girl?
Oh God. You know who it is, that she was also like into CrossFit and like doing exercise and stuff. And so like there was a time where like she was cutting and I was cutting, so we were both eating her cutting.
Oh, that's so sad. Like alone in your little corner. Like,
you know, for lunch and stuff like that. So stuff like that, like, you know, you definitely do have the other people who are like that with you, and you do make it. But definitely like the flexibility, like, and like the one thing is like you like, let's be honest, like tech companies and all this scream work-life balance, right? And but the thing is, when you're going to the office, you feel icky about work-life balance because, like, let's say for example, I need to run to the bank or I need to go do something, right, during work. Like, don't get me wrong, all the companies I work for completely allowed you to do it, and they had no problem if I did it. But you felt weird doing it because everyone else was there around.
Because you're not at your desk.
And you're like, oh my God, everyone's going to know I'm gone for X amount of time. I'm whatever. And like, I'm going to be, And like you tell them, no one cares. Like no one cares. Well, you feel weird. Like you're like, oh my God, I've been gone from my desk for so long, whereas everyone else is inside at the desk, whatever, right? And everyone notices you're not there. So you feel weird even though no one cares. Whereas when you're working from home, you just type on Slack, being like, hey guys, I'm going to be gone for an hour. I need to do this. And everyone's like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But no one's there. Like, but it doesn't matter because you're not seeing other people.
But I think
like,
it's the aspect of like seeing someone physically. Like if you're in the office and you're at your desk or not at your desk. So either working or not working. Whereas if it's from home, you know, it's like
exactly.
I can't see what you're doing.
Exactly. So definitely there is that aspect of it, and it felt like it always felt weird. Like, and now I always see like people like, oh yeah, hey guys, I'm gonna be gone for an hour. I'm gonna get a haircut. Oh, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna do that. You know, all these things. And like I feel like people are way more comfortable doing that when you're working from home than like if you have to run for groceries, you know, like take for example, like everyone had to get their groceries after work. So then grocery shopping was hell. Like
That's true.
Oh my God. Like Nicola, you don't understand.
I never thought of that.
Every time. So I was going home, I would always like go to the gym, get my groceries and go, you know, but every time the grocery place would be every place is busy because everyone's coming from work, like getting their groceries, going back to home or whatever. Like, whereas now I can be like, okay, hey, it's like 12 o'clock. You know what? I'm going to go get groceries, you know, real quick or whatever. I'm going to do whatever, you know, I can do stuff like that. I can't do that when I'm in the office, you know, like, I'm going to keep my groceries with me the whole time and like beside me. No, that grocery thing one, is such annoying.
But it's one of those things that you don't even think about. Like, because it's like, what? But like, you know, I can just go before work, at lunch, or right after work, you know, and other people who unfortunately don't have to, have to go to the office, they go a little bit later.
Yeah, no, definitely do not enjoy the grocery shopping peak madness.
I think another thing that has been nice is spending so much more time with, you know, people like family or whoever you live with. Like when I was living at home, I was spending a lot of time with my parents, and I feel like we got closer. We were able to even like go for a walk during lunchtime together or like whatever. It was nice, you know. And now that I think we're together, and this is like kind of like into the next kind of section of like relationships and working from home. Yeah. Because I feel like it made things so much easier. Yeah,
because it's nice to like have sometimes like you're just like chilling, you want to have a chit chat, you know? Like you can do it at work, but you feel like you might be disturbing the other person. Like unless like you have some friends, like what we used to do at work is we would just be like, hey, trying to like, and this is one of the things we'll touch in the pros. Like you'd be like, hey, do you want to go upstairs? Like, are you free? And it's like, yeah, we'll go chat, you know? But like at home, it's nice because you can like be doing something. Like I'll be there at the desk, Nicola will be here, and I'll be doing whatever, and then we can be chatting as we're doing whatever, you know. And it's nice. You're like it all comes back to the multitasking. You're able to multitask. Yeah. You're not just like stuck looking at your desk being like,
quiet.
Oh my God, I have nothing to do for like 5-10 minutes now, but I have to just stare at this fucking screen. Yeah. Otherwise I look not busy.
And like I think a lot of people would say, you know, if you're both in a relationship, like working from home together, you'd be like, how do you not get sick of each other? Or like, oh, how are you not like, you know, mad at each other or whatever? I feel like it made things so much easier. Like
I'm not in the room with you all the time.
Like there are days when we don't even see each other. Yeah. You know, like one's in one room, one's in the other room. But I do feel like, I don't know, it's just it made it kind of nice being able to be together all the time and like do little cute things.
Yeah, like it is definitely, I think like working from home together can either make or break a relationship.
That's true.
I don't think there's an in between. I think it's true. Either it makes it or it breaks it. You know, like you realize how much time you're able to actually spend with this person. You know, especially when you're spending every waking moment with that person. Yeah. You know, like it makes a massive difference.
Pretty much.
You know, so definitely like that is a iffy one for sure.
But then like if you also have friends who are working from home, you could get together and work together from home. And there's just a lot of, you know, kind of like these positives. The other thing that is kind of like on our list here is, do you feel like you have increased productivity and focus working from home or less?
Yeah, way more. Like definitely like once again, this is another one that's like, it depends on person to person, because like obviously they're like, and a lot of CEOs and whatever claim that, working from home doesn't have as much productivity. Some say it does, some say it doesn't. Everyone has different mindset. Everyone's on different sides of the fence on this topic. I am kind of in the middle in the sense of like, for most of that, like it depends on person to person, and you should be able to, like, I guess the way is like, you should be able to trial it, like in the sense of like, you know how someone works in the office, you know how someone works out at home, and you like, if you trust a worker and you see how their productivity is, and you know it doesn't change when they're from home, you should let them do it. For me personally, I do find myself more productive like being at home, because like I'm very efficient with my time in the sense of like I can figure something out and just do it, right? And then like sometimes when I'm stuck, I'm just like whatever. But whereas when I'm in the office, I always feel so confined. I'm like doing that and I do this, like, and it's like whatever. But whereas when I do it at my own pace, at my own time, like in my own space, especially, I think that's a big thing for me. Like mental, like especially anyone who does engineering, you know, like the mental aspect is very big. Like for me, being in my own space actually helps me a lot when it comes to thinking, for like problem solving. And I'm just like, I find like just being here, being at my desk and be like, and then be like, yo, you know, why are there, and stuff like that, you know, and like taking breaks I need and doing whatever. And I do find like definitely I'm a lot more productive. Like I'm way more efficient with my time. Like I'll get a lot more work done. And just because like the thing is, when I'm in the office and I'm stuck on an issue, like yes, I walk away from my desk, don't get me wrong, but when I'm still in the office, I don't know, there's just a way like I'm constantly thinking about it. Whereas when I'm at home and I'm stuck on an issue, I can literally walk away and unwind. Like I'll literally, whether I'll turn on my PS5 and like, oh, like let me play a game for 30 minutes or do whatever, you know, let me do something like that. And like that's why like tech offices have all those amenities to help you.
I was about to say, right?
You know, but the thing is,
they
like,
try their best.
They do.
It's still an office environment.
I'm still in the office environment, so I still feel guilty or I feel like taught. Whereas when I'm at home, I'm relaxed and I'm like, and then like there have been times where I would be like doing something. Like I remember there's actually a really good example. I was playing Breath of the Wild. This was way back when. I was really stuck on this issue, so I went away and I was like doing wanted to get in those Kuroko seeds or whatever and do the shrine, and then just out of nowhere it just hit me in my brain. I just paused the game instantly and went to my computer and I was like, I didn't work. I was like, oh my god, you know. Whereas in the office I'd just be like, even though I would go upstairs like maybe chatting with a friend or maybe playing pool or doing something, I'm really in the back of my mind thinking about it the whole time, and it doesn't really pivot me because I'm thinking about it. But when I hear I'm relaxed, it's like whatever, and it just comes to me. So I definitely do feel more productive. How about yourself? What do you think?
But then also as well, I was gonna add to that, like if you're in the zone and you're like, okay, I'm working right now, there's no distractions. Like people that come up to you,
that's a big thing.
They're like, hey,
no distractions. And like when you're working from home, it's just like even Nicoletta's seen, like when I'm in the zone, I'm just there like focusing on whatever. I literally forget to do everything. I forget to eat. I forget to do whatever. I'm just focusing, you know. But whereas in the office, like you literally, like we call it context switching, you know, like switching context, you know, like that can happen a lot. Like you're literally there, you're just like, you know, going on, and then someone's like whatever, or like noise or something. Like that's why a lot of people, especially software engineers, have noise canceling headphones and they wear them in the office because of the noise around. Like it might just irritate you or like make you lose focus. So like definitely like context switching, kind of like losing that focus
in the track of your brain.
What's going on is definitely a big thing. Absolutely.
I don't know. For me, I think just like regarding productivity and stuff, I've always just sat down and done my work. You know, and it's just been like, I'm going to sit down and do this. And then if there's something that like I forget, like, or whatever, at any point I could just open up like my laptop or whatever and just like do it. Right. And this brings me to
that's actually unique. Just to touch on that, that's a unique perspective for you because you've only worked from home. Correct? So like for you work, like productivity at home or at the office is kind of like a straight line for you because you're like, I've had to work. Like I'm like, yo, I started working from home, but I've been working. But
the thing is, right, when there are some hours where I don't have anything to do, so I will just step away from my computer and I'm like, I'm available for any questions or if there's anything to do, and I'll step away for a while. But I feel like if I were in the office and I had to look busy, I would find it so draining. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
That's definitely you have a very unique perspective because you haven't worked in the office. So you've just been like work, whether you're at home. You don't see, like, whereas some people who may have been working in the office, they're like, oh, they can relax now or whatever because, you know, they finally get to work from home. But you're just like, bro, I have to work, you know.
I'm trying to get my work done, get my meetings done, or like whatever it is.
You know, so like definitely very unique perspective you have there.
Because I remember when I first started I was kind of like a content writer, so I was writing a lot of content for like a website, and like I was just sitting down and doing it, you know what I mean? And like if I had to watch some, you know, YouTube videos to learn a little bit more about something, and I was like, oh my god, this is such a fun like environment. And while I was say watching a YouTube video or listening to a task that I had to, here and I was like painting my nails at home, which was like, it was so nice to be able to do that. But then you couldn't do that in an office. You couldn't just paint your nails. And I remember telling someone like in like a close family friend, and they were like, oh, like, so you don't really work. And I'm like, oh, you did not just say that. Just because you're jealous, you're not me. You need to live like me. No, but I they're just nice to multitask and like, do things like both of the things. But then the other thing was, like I mentioned earlier, if I forget to do something, I will log in like after hours and do it. So this kind of brings us to a little bit of the challenges of like, when is off time when you're working from home?
Definitely a hard thing. Like that's something I had to learn. And like that's like definitely something that is much harder to do when you're working from home. Like I was already, like I think I've talked about this before, I was already very bad when I first started in the office, because I'm the type of person who, once I get focused on something I'm doing, whatever, and there's so many times that I'd be in the office up until like 7 o'clock, or something like that, 8 o'clock, whatever, like doing like things in the office, like, like working on something. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so bad, whatever, right? I didn't know how to cut off, especially since everyone else was leaving around like 6 anyway. So I was like still there focused in. And I was like, oh my God. And then I started being like, I have to learn to like stop. Like it's 5 o'clock or whatever time, whatever, I just stop. Yeah. So now like I brought that into working from home, where it's like, I started this time, or I started whatever, but I have to finish it this time. Like I have to let go of something. If I'm doing something, I stop or whatever.
But still, I still see you working at like 7 a.m. some mornings. I'm like, what?
Like, yes, like, and that's the thing. Like, you have to really learn how to try. And like, you'll still slip up. Like, I do slip up still, like I get really locked into something or whatever. And then sometimes you need to, sometimes you have to, which is fine. Sometimes you don't, that's when it's not fine to do and you're still doing it. So like, it's definitely kind of trying to learn that balance, and it's definitely not easy at all. Yeah. Definitely trying to learn, hey, I'm only getting, like, because let's be honest, like a company's only, like, you're just a number making money for them, so like there's only so much you should be giving into them, like, and I can understand situations where you're like trying to go over and beyond because maybe you're trying to get a raise or get something like that, maybe, but you should never keep that as a permanent habit of yours, I believe, and it's something you need to definitely keep an eye on, and it's very easy to fall into, especially if you're very like somewhat like a go-getter. It's very easy to fall into because you want to come out ahead. I do not recommend it, because it's not really worth it at the end of the day. Like they'll still only give you like the bare minimum.
Yeah, and also it could lead to burnout for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't want that either. I think for me at work, what I do every morning is kind of have a checklist of things like, oh, I need to create this ticket, I need to reach out to this person, I need to set this meeting up. So things that I don't forget. And then like, if there's anything that I still have to do, I'm like, I'll do this tomorrow morning. Usually I like starting before everyone else to just get my day together. But then I make sure I finish a little bit earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so like I get the time back to not like end up in the cycle of like whatever. But if it is, I have to log in after hours to do something. If I forgot to do something, it's not going to be a big task.
Yeah,
it's going to be like something small that I, forgot to do. Then this kind of takes us to communication and collaboration challenges. So you work with a lot of teams and stuff, right? How do you feel that is versus in person?
Definitely, you have to be very, very explicit about what you're doing, and very, very focused. Like, one thing I always do is I always make sure like my Slack messages are on point. Like, if I'm going to ask for something inside like a channel that people are in or whatever, I'm going to literally put all the context in that message, like screenshots or grabs of text or whatever, putting the whole thing there and making it neat and formatted. That's very clean. Like, I hate when people just put blobs of text. Like, format it, make it clean, make it look good. Like if you're an engineer or whatever, use Markdown for code, use pictures for certain things. I talk through the steps, use bullet points, use highlighting, use all these things. Like, I always make like, that's one thing I always get compliments, like, oh my God, your update or whatever status or whatever thing is so good, because I'm very intentional about it, because I hate when people just give me, I'm like, oh, what is this?
You're the type of engineer I'd love to work with.
Because
like, you help me understand what it is without being like X, Y, Z, A, B, C, F, G, H, I, G. I'm like, oh my God. I
hate it so much. Like, step by step, put the whole thing there. Yeah. Like, yes, it's tedious. You're like, oh, I don't want to do that. But it literally makes it's so much smoother for when someone else answer your question or
Yeah.
respond to you or something like that. It makes life so much easier. So be very explicit and meaningful about what you want to do. You know, like I think that's the best way to collaborate. And then obviously when it requires more and you know it's going to require a lot of back and forth, instead of having a long ass thread on Slack or message thread on whatever it is you use, just say, hey, can we pop into a Zoom or whatever, a call for X amount of time, you know, and just be like, hey, whether right now if they have the time or set it in the calendar for a meeting and then go through it, because there's nothing worse than having like 100 message thread and you're like reading through it, trying to get the context, you know, or whatever, and you're going back and forth when it's easier to just show someone. Because it is obviously a lot harder to collaborate virtually than in person, where someone can just go to your computer and be like, yeah, and you're chatting and pointing at things, which is very easy, you know, in comparison to like you're both doing it over like sharing screens, so on and so forth. That's why it's like, if you're going to do a text based, be very explicit, very meaningful. If you're going to do it, talk through the whole thing, you know, like, and have that thing instead of having like a long text blob. So, and try to be very mindful of people's time, right? Don't waste their time. Like if someone's status is like away, don't message them. Or either be like, hey, this is for when, the first thing I always say if I have to message someone when they're away or like a lunch break or something like this is for when you come back.
I thought that's just a given. Like I don't
so
care.
many people don't do that. So,
I will just message you on what I need, but I don't expect you to respond.
Yes, but oh my God, like, you know, like that's the things, like, because people have it, they're like, oh, you know, like whatever. So I always like, this is for when you get back, or this is for whatever, you know, or whatever. And
I've never thought of that.
I'm very specific about it because if I get a message, usually, like I used to be this, but now I just wait till after I'm done. I'll be like, oh, fuck, let me reply, you know, if like, you know, whatever, you know, because I see the message, you know, but I'm very mindful of people's time. I try to not message them after hours, like after they've done like you know, because you work in remote zones, different time zones, so like always check like what time is this for this person. It's like, do I need to send this now, you know, stuff like that. I'm always very intentional. I
don't really care.
Oh my God, Nicoletta is a terrible collaborator.
Like I said, right, I like to start work before everyone else, and if I need to message anyone, I'm gonna message them. It's 8 a.m. People start work at 9. I'm gonna message them 8 a.m. I don't ever expect a response until 11 a.m. if that's what it needs to be. And if I need to follow up, I'll follow up if they haven't responded. But like, I'm just going to send it whenever I want to send it. You know what I mean? It's not like, to me, nothing feels urgent like that you need to drop everything, unless it's like something coming from, you know, above, and then it's like, let's jump on a call. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it doesn't feel urgent like that. But then in terms of collaboration, right? I think I'm a very shy person. And I feel like it's so much easier to approach people on Teams than it would be in person. Lord. And while I like,
because you're like, you don't want to be like, call them like, hey, really sorry. I want to take your time there real quick. I'm so sorry. I think
it would just be so awkward, or like, especially because, you know, I'm like a younger, you know, female, and I'm asking kind of like seniors for things, but it's just so much easier on Teams. I can send a little GIF. I can make it more funky. Like, I am that guy, okay? I will do that. And I have one specific team that I work with that in one of our retros, they were like, okay, we start using GIFs in our group chat to make it less like work. And everyone's doing that now, you know? So like, I feel like there was a little bit of a change there. There's like, it's just a little bit more fun. Yeah,
it doesn't make it seem as like as serious and as intense.
Yeah. I love sending a little GIF or like a little hey, or like, I feel like, I was just thinking this today, I type to people so casually that sometimes it's like, don't you realize this is a work setting? But at the same time, like, I'm talking to you like a person. You know what I mean? Like, I always say hey to people. I don't do the hi thing. Like, I say hey.
But like, no one says dear or whatever.
No, but like on email, it's like, or on like Teams, it's always like hi.
I never say hi. I always say hey.
Me
even
too.
in my emails, I always say hey. Like, I
appreciate that.
I never say hi.
I get so much hi.
I never say hi.
Hi, Farouk.
Hi. Hey.
Hey. And I type with like small letters too. I'm just...
Well, I hope you capitalize the H.
No.
Ew. Okay, that's disgusting.
That's disgusting.
That's disgusting.
I feel like I'm just very... Like, I treat it as like texting my friends.
Yeah, but like... please, common grammar, like fucking capitalize when you need to capitalize.
No, not always. I'm just.
Ew.
I feel like it just tones down the conversation a little bit. It's like a more casual.
I think if I saw a small H at the start of a hey, like of a message, I would just be like already annoyed. I'd just be like,
oh my god, okay, chill.
I'd be like,
chill. I think the teams.
Do you know how to write?
The teams that I work with, like I said, they're very chill. They're a lot more.
I like to think I'm a chill person, but I don't like grammar mistakes.
No, listen, that's just gotta be you. But yeah, I like the fact that there's teams, and I feel like people are a lot more approachable, and don't get me wrong, I will write formal messages to people I've never spoken with or that I don't like talk to every day. If I talk to you every day, like you're gonna get what you get. But like, I do like that I feel like everyone I can reach out to, and it doesn't feel like, scary.
Because you don't have to see them face to face.
Yeah, I'm like, hi.
Wow, social anxiety is real.
So that is kind of nice. That is a nice one. And then like in terms of like collaborating and stuff, I think one thing about like remote working, and this is the opposite way, but like people could just not reply to you. And it could be a day later.
Very
it
annoying.
could be 6 hours later. It's like, okay, let me follow up on this. And you follow up and you're still getting ghosted.
Very frustrating. You can get ghosted and remote working, which is very annoying because at work, you can't get ghosted. I go up to you and I'm like, hey.
This now.
Right now, this bullshit that you're talking about, Whereas literally you can get ghosted. Like, that happens so much. There's this guy I work with that always ghosts me and it pisses me off. It's just
it happens more than you think.
Frustrating. And it does happen more than you think it does, because I know you saw my message. I know you, like, you might have not seen it at the time, but I know you have, like, especially on Slack, if you Slack, I know it says that number there, that, or 1 or 2 or how many, and you cleared it. You cleared it and never looked at it. And then I follow up and you saw it again and you cleared it. So what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it'd be like that, or because I guess I'm not an engineer, and like they sometimes, like you said, you give context to people and I don't get enough context, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening, right?
Yeah.
And then I have to give an update on something that I have no idea what I'm talking about, and I'm like, XYZ. But yeah, it's just a little bit like that.
It'd be like that sometimes.
On to the next portion of it, which is loneliness and friendships when working from home.
I don't feel lonely. I don't lose my friendships. Let me not lie. I am a true person of the internet. I have been playing video games since I was a yay big, making online friends and real life friends. I don't think it's not. You want to make real life friends? Go outside. You want to make online friends? Stay inside. Yeah. It's not that hard. But obviously I do know, like all jokes aside, I do think it is not easy for everybody. Like, I think, like, because as I said, I'm a gamer, I have a very unique perspective where it's very not hard for me, right? I already have friends online and I have friends in person, right? Whereas for some people, and like a few of my friends did say that, like, they did not like it, like they're like, I can't, like, I like socializing people in the office, like the little chats during lunch or even chats here and there.
Yeah.
Like they enjoy that and enjoy seeing other people and they enjoy talking to other people. Some people do not like it, right? And it feels, especially like if you're live alone and you work at home, it might be a bit boring for you. Like even for me, even if Nicola wasn't here, I'd be fine because I literally, Nicola sees me all the time. I play video games with my friends online and I have my headset and I'm talking to them.
You're communicating with
people all the time. So like for me, it's not that deep. But obviously I do know for people who don't have that kind of social construct, online construct. And most people they know are like from their office or around, like, during the day it feels like very boring and alone, like you're at work at your desk, and then it's only after work you finally get to interact with people and you're like, oh my god, thank god.
And that's if you do get to interact with people, because a lot of people still don't interact even after work.
Like usually because you only meet your friends on the weekends or something. So it can, like, I can understand from that perspective it can be definitely very lonely.
I agree. I think that was like it still kind of is a thing for me because I don't get to meet people, right? And like, even though I have talked to everyone at work or whatever, and I've made good friends, none of them live near me, right? So then, like, to meet up, it's like a whole event. Like, you need to set something up because, my company is great in terms of, like, we have a lot of contract workers. We have people, like, working on different parts of the world, different parts of Ireland and stuff like that. But then it's like, you know, you're not seeing these people and you're not meeting them. So there's a little bit of like, it's hard to make friends. Like, how do I make friends?
Definitely not easy. Like, and I think you have a good perspective on that because you truly do like meeting people and everything like that. It's not like you have you don't have a bunch of unlimited Discord friends like I do. So like, you know, it's not straightforward. So like, I think definitely for the average person, it's definitely, you can definitely feel lonely. Like that human interaction is definitely nice. I know it goes a long way. But I think if you're a gamer, you're thriving.
There's the life for you or whatever.
You're thriving.
But I do like it though. I do like working remotely. And this brings us to the final point of, where do you see working remotely in the future? What's the future of work from home?
I think Gen Z are trying to fight for it. I do think, like you see all the TikToks, I don't think it will be as en masse as we believe it will be. I truly don't believe it will be, just because like corporations are greedy and they've already spent a lot of money, a lot of infrastructure and a lot of buildings and stuff like that and all these things. And like, yes, they can cut back on some of that, but still like who are they going to sell it to? You know, like if everyone's going to remote, like who are you selling it to?
Yeah.
You know, but like, I think,
and also like businesses in the area getting,
you know,
like businesses like food,
so on and so forth,
social events.
There's a lot of things around of people like, and like CEOs just don't like it. They like treating you like animals that have to be inside a cage and do your task and then you get
like
out, you know, kind of thing. Like, you know, like you need to like be there. And CEOs, especially because they're very old mentality, they're old heads, like let's be honest, most CEOs are boomers, like, you know, so they have that like, you have kind of like factory mindset, you know, or you have to be in the office, you have to be productive kind of
like
thing,
oversee, you know, what you do,
and kind of so like I think definitely in the tech space is different because like you have like the whole hybrid. I think hybrid is probably here to stay. Like I couldn't see hybrid ever being removed. I don't see ever it going back to full-time work. That company was shut down. No one's going to do that. No one wants to do that, right? But at the same time,
I want to spend time with my kids.
Fully remote is going to be there, but I don't think it will be like this gold standard.
I think it's a privilege.
I think it's a privilege. I think hybrid will be the gold standard, and like a lot of more jobs that can get hybrid work will become more hybrid. But then I think working remotely fully will definitely be I work fully remote because it's like a little, you know, cherry on top, you know, like you'll get your cake but you won't get a cherry on top. But you know, if you get that cherry on top, you're like yeah that's nice kind of thing, you know, because I think it would take a while until the newer generation becomes the new heads, and then they're more than likely, maybe the work from home then will become more permanent because they're used to it and they're like, I'm productive.
There's a lot of people in our generation that are the exact same.
Yeah, but the thing is like, you are when you're the leader of a company, you're incentivized to try squeeze out as much productivity for maximum things, and you know, pushing people inside a freaking building to be animals just working away is like super productive for you.
You know, you get fired for talking like this.
Who's firing me?
Anyways, I think, do you know what I would like to see, like a future where work is remote. I would like that. And like regarding the buildings and stuff, I would like areas where people who work remote can go together and meet, which is, it's kind of like, but couldn't you I like that, right? But I guess it's like, so couldn't you just go to your office? But it's like, well, I want to meet other people, like interesting people my age, you know, people with similar interests and like stuff like that, rather than like,
you like, well, you want shared working spaces to become more of a norm.
Yeah, I think I would really like that. That'd be so much a nicer way to meet people, to interact with people without being, you know, your own company.
You just
get hobbies. You could, but like work is a big chunk of your day, so it would be nice or whatever. And also like, then that would incentivize people to get out and, you know, spend money on like XYZ or whatever. And so on and so forth. And also people could travel, you know, and bring. This is a tricky one because I don't agree to move full time to a different country and increase all their prices. I'm not okay with that.
Pushing people who live there out of their own.
No, I'm not okay with that.
I hate that shit. Yeah.
But you could go for a short amount of time, you know, see the country, bring some money into the country, and then get out.
Yeah.
Do not stay. Yeah,
buying up the property, making it hard for the people who are making way less money to afford even living in their own country. Like, that's crazy.
I'm very against that. Yeah. But that's kind of like
Yeah.
all we had for today.
Hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know what you think about working from home. Do you enjoy it? Are you against it? Or do you prefer hybrid? What is
Would
it?
you like
If
to
you
work
were a
remote
CEO
job?
of a company, would you make your people work remotely, or would you make them not? What would you do?
Would
you know?
you?
No, I would allow, like, I would, as I said, I would do it on a case by case basis, because some people are just not productive at home,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to actually have them in the office, you know, because they have to work. So, like, I
Just
think
hire someone else.
what I would do is I put it hybrid, and then
Mm-hmm.
I would do the whole standard of, if you want to work from home, make a case for it, and end the story. Like,
Okay.
I think that's the most logical thing to do. You know, you have it hybrid, you know, and then if you can go, hey, look, me working from home, me not working from home, same thing. Let me work from home.
I
Boom.
guess.
You know,
Anyways, that's all we had for today. Hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. Don't
like,
forget
subscribe,
to
share the whole thing.
Till next time.
Peace.